Okay, perfect. I'm in.
Awesome. All right. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So basically, as I mentioned, we have typically two solutions that we provide in terms of outsourcing staff. It's either in office or a remote based. And this is what it would look like. This is the Philippines chart. So this is what it would look like for a cloud engineer, let's say. So you have the bracket with 1 to 3 years of experience. You have the bracket from 3 to 5 and 5 plus, typically like a junior, mid-level, senior type
Mm-hmm.
of thing. And then you have the monthly salary for that person, you have the benefits, and then you have the monthly service fee. And this is basically what is for Emapta in an in-office rate, which is 599 euros, and work from home rate is 369. And this would be the total payout that you would be paying for the employee, depending on what you're looking to hire in which level. But you would be knowing exactly how much you're paying the employees. So it's a very transparent model. You know what the salary is, what the benefits they would be getting, and you know exactly the fee that you would be paying Emapta for, getting the setup and everything done for you. And during those months when, this person is working with you. And then you have, let's say, Macedonia with an in-office rate, benefits and all that kind of stuff. And also you have the work from home rate for Macedonia as well. Now, obviously, Macedonia is more expensive than the Philippines, due to the standards and everything else, just being, part of Europe and how everything has been going up lately. So, but depending on what exactly you're looking for, what kind of budget you're working with, that's how we serve our clients and we kind of guide them to the best solution. So, do you have any sort of budget in mind and like how long would this be for or so on?
Yeah, well, we have, I already shared it to Diana, but let me repeat it. We are launching, we are in the beta phase right now. We will be launching the platform within 6 months. So it is surely a 6-month contract, that's for sure. But as I stated in the job description, it can become a permanent role if we are happy uh,
Okay.
with the implementation.
And you said you're looking from 1 to 2 engineers.
Yes, well, we have around 4,000 euro left in monthly budget. So I'm looking at the pricing and I see that we maybe could fit, maybe we could not, depending where we would outsource them from, right?
Yeah.
And if you can explain me a little bit more about what is the actual difference between a person from Macedonia and Filipino, like in IT.
Um, not really that big of a difference in terms of IT and in terms of the job that they have to do. They would be coming with the same background, doing the same work. It's more about the communication, more about how they handle and approach tasks and problems. It's, obviously Macedonians have a very similar culture to you, being European, much more direct, taking a more hands-on type of approach. While with the Filipinos, it would be more, you would be, let's say, more instructing them on what to do and how to do and on a daily basis for their tasks and everything else. But in terms of the technical knowledge they bring, it would really depend on, first of all, on the candidate themselves, but also typically on the category that, you would be looking into if you're looking at junior, mid-level, or a senior cloud engineer. But overall, yeah, so that would be the main difference, I would say so. It's
All
just a
right.
cultural thing, not anything else.
All right. And Jana mentioned also a difference, and I understand it is reflected in pricing, rather the person rather the person works from their house or from the co-work space that you provide. That was my understanding of it. If you can delve deeper into it and explain me what is the difference, and is it worth it to actually go for the remote one?
So we don't have co-working spaces. We have our own offices. In the Philippines, we have 14 offices. In Macedonia, we currently have only one in the capital. We're actually moving. a floor down. We're going into a much bigger office, which will be accommodating more than 50, 60 people. And basically, the only rate is, do we save them seat in one of our offices or we don't? So in order for us to, have a person stay in our office and work from our offices, obviously that's going to cost slightly more, and that's why we take an upcharge from that difference. It's not like Emapta actually wins or makes money or profits out of that difference that you see from 369 to 599. That's actually the seat cost typically that it would take, concluding everything that we do provide in the facility itself. So that doesn't really make a difference when it comes down to operations or anything like that. And the only difference is, saving the seat or not saving the seat for them. And the difference is 600 euros and 369. And that would be
Mm.
pretty much the same service fee for the Philippines, for Macedonia, or even Colombia, because we have teams in Colombia as well. So that's our business model and our fee. And then depending whatever the salary is, because salaries differ from roles, different because of the roles themselves. They differ from the level of experience, of what kind of background, and so on and so forth. So we have this very transparent model when you know how much you're paying us and then how much you're paying for the rest of the team members.
Okay, okay. Now let me understand something, Frank, because this is what I'm struggling with. Diana said something to the effect that, okay, I pick the person and then I can even decide if I want this person to work from home or he will come to the office.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, like, okay, what if the person that I pick lives like 200 kilometers from your office? How do you manage that if I choose him to work from the office? How is that managed?
Depends. Like in the Philippines, it's more doable, as I mentioned, because we do have more offices. In Macedonia, as you know, being quite honest with you, it would be really hard someone from Ohrid, which is about 2.5 hour away drive from Skopje, to actually come back and forth to the office. We typically in Macedonia, we take that approach from the very beginning when we start our search. So when we advertise the job, let's say we're looking for a cloud engineer because you're looking for one, we would market it as a remote or a work from office on-site type of job, and that's how we would be selecting and recruiting during the time of the recruitment itself. But in the Philippines, things are much different because we're much bigger. We have, more than 8,000 people, 14 offices, and, we're just pretty much, we're very well established in the Philippines. And that's why a lot of things are much easier there compared to Macedonia, compared to Colombia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and all those other locations that we're kind of, growing.
Right. All right. And as far as the expert types, you already mentioned that the Filipinos are less like self-navigating. I heard that as well. What about the quality of work between Filipinos and Macedonians?
I mean, it really depends on what exactly you're looking for. So the quality, if you're looking at the quality itself, just like the getting the job done, typically, I think that there's not much difference. Obviously, depends on an individual basis. But when it comes down to what you just mentioned, I think that, uh, Macedonian culture, the European culture, but specifically the southeastern European culture, I would say, and the whole Balkans is more hands-on approach, like trying to do more things, trying to solve new problems, trying to basically face new challenges and maybe have growth opportunities and climb up the, let's say, ladder of becoming a senior, becoming a team lead, leading something, doing something. So it's just more in our culture to actually do more jobs and do more things and try to solve more problems, but that does not necessarily mean that a Filipino doesn't know how to do that. It's just that maybe they don't want to because it's just a cultural thing unless they're told to do so. So yeah, that would be the main difference, I would say. But the good thing is, you can always I believe that they have told you how our recruitment process works, or not yet.
not. That would be my next question. How you ensure the quality overall? Like,
Okay, so basically how it works is we set up we you have the right the dedicated staffing proposal, which I'll share after the call with you as well. So you look into it, you think that you can put it into one of those budgets, and we can find you the person. We create what we call it a kickoff call with our recruitment team. Our recruitment team will ask you every single question that they think that would be necessary to know regarding this role, the cloud engineering role, and we kick it off. And they create a process with you together. So if there is a testing, if there's any assessment that needs to be done from those people and so on, so they create the recruitment process with you. And then you will be involved in this recruitment process the whole time. So what we do is we pass on the initial screening and doing the first round of interviews with our recruiters. So based on whatever are the most critical things, they will check all the boxes. So the ones that won't will not come to you. The ones that will come to you, and then you will have an interview with every single one of them. Plus, on top of that, if there's any assessment or however you feel that it would be the best way to test this out, who would be the right person, we're open to working with you on that. And then you get to choose and select your own candidate, which is the best part of the thing. And we don't charge you unless you have chosen a candidate. So you can go through the rounds of interviews and say, you know what, Frank, we interview 10, 15, 20 people. We think, let's say, maybe shut down Macedonia or shut down Philippines. We're just going to focus on one of the regions. So, and just continue to do that. So until you have selected the candidate, you're not even paying us, because we're not technically paying, if you know what I mean. So we're doing that part. But then if you select the candidate, there, then that's when we invoice you. The only thing is that we have a recruitment fee and a setup fee once this has been completed. And then once we recruit and set up and we get that done, it's just the fees that you see on the table right now.
all right. And how much is this recruitment and onboarding?
So these are the one-time fees. So 279 is the one-time setup fee, which is basically the pre-employment requirements and all those medical and everything that needs to be done. Recruitment fee per employee is 649, but that comes with a 24-month guarantee, which means that anything, if it happens with that staff member within the next 2 years, let's say they resign because of something or whatever the case is, we backfill the position within the first 2 years without any additional cost. And then 140 euros is typically the publication per role, or as we call the job posting ad, because depending on the places we're looking for, we pay job posts and stuff like that, so we can attract and get more candidates sent over to you. So basically, there are pass-through costs in a way, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's like a little bit over 8,000. And when is this due? Is it due when I sign a contract with you, or is it with the first invoice? How does it work?
No, with the first invoice. So once you have selected the candidates, that's the first time that you will be paying those fees. So unless you have selected the candidate, there's nothing to set up, because obviously you haven't selected the candidate, and there's no recruitment fee because we haven't technically recruited the person yet. The only thing that typically is um, after the contract is signed is the publication per role, or the advertising of 150 euros that we pay out when we launch it. So that would be the only thing, but that wouldn't be that big of a problem.
All righty. So, if let's say, because I have to put it, I have to explain it to my partner, where would be the payments for it. So let's say we are able to get somebody by the end of March, right? We
Okay.
want the person to start by the 1st of April. When would be, when would be, when would we pay our first invoice, and how would it be built thereafter?
The first invoice would be sent to you probably if it starts 1st of April, around 15th of March, depending obviously when we select the candidate, but typically we do around mid-month for the upcoming month. So mid-March for April, and then mid-April for May, and so on. So we're always ahead because obviously we need to have those salaries and everything is in place in order for us to pay all the staff members that we have. So yeah, that would be typical. So it's like around mid to end of the month for the upcoming month. And what was the other question? You had another question, my bad.
Yes, how does it go thereafter? Because I understand the recruitment fees we pay upfront and the first month salary we have to pay upfront as well, right?
Correct. So the setup fees and the first salary is typically just upfront, but it's not upfront. It's once you have selected the candidate. So we
Yeah, yeah.
send you whenever the date is, let's say 1st of April, or let's say in this case, first of March, which is Saturday, but let's say next week. So we send you the invoice. You will have enough time, a week or two, to basically get that sorted out. So we send them a bit earlier so people have some time to reflect on those. And then we give us enough time so when the month ends, we can handle every single payment and every single employee that is on our payroll. So we don't have issues from one business to another, you know, not paying or not being on time or anything like that. So we make sure that every single staff member is paid on time.
Okay, okay, this is perfect. So then, all right, and if you can, also explain me because that's my wife's actually worries that she brought up to me. What if we are, first of all, let's say not satisfied with a talent for some reason because of the missing deadlines or some other issues? What is your role in it and what is my role? Because I understand this is your employee technically because he's on
Yep.
your payroll, I understand, but still works for us. So if you can
Yep.
clarify whose rights and responsibilities are in this
Yep.
triangular set.
So how you should look at this is that Emapta is basically your right hand and becoming the employer of record for the staff. But the staff is your staff, so they will be representing your company. They will be working with you or with your partner. They will be directly reporting to you guys. They would be part of your domain, having your own email address with your email addresses, using your Teams or use Slack, whatever you use internally, and so on. So they're your team member. What we're handling is we're going to give them equipment. We have IT support. We do give them HR, whatever in terms of, HR they need, the payroll, and all the compliance in terms of the paperwork. And yeah, so those are the back support type of thing that we get everything done for you, and then you'll have a main point of contact. So if you hire in Macedonia, I will be the customer experience manager, and whatever you need, you're just going to be like, hey, Frank, this is going on. Can we please give him, an additional something? He needs to get this done, or he was late, or whatever, something, just whatever it is, you just come to me, and then I handle that as a customer experience manager. If you go to the Philippines, that would be still a customer experience manager, just someone else.
All right, all right.
So we're
Uh,
like hands-on approach all the time.
okay. And because this is what I have a trouble. You understand that? Well, maybe it's not a trouble at all. Let us see. There are strict rules in the Netherlands as far as hiring persons. Uh, how is it handled when we outsource? Because there are the tax institutions here where we have to report all the employees. How do we do it if we outsource this? Because I'm worried about the local taxes and the other things. How is it
You,
legally handled?
you don't owe any taxes or anything like that. So you wouldn't be paying anything. We invoice you, where you're paying us for the service that we're providing, and then we pay the payroll. So on paper, that's not your employee. We are the employer of record, so you have nothing to do with that. But overall, in terms of realistically day-to-day operations, they are your employee because they work with you and they're part of your organization. They just get paid through us, supported by us with our equipment and so on. So that's the main thing. And we do
Yeah.
have businesses in the Netherlands. Actually, right now, we're going through we're going through a search with one of our new clients for a nautical engineer.
Okay. Okay, so I understand that that this is handled, and when I do the yearly income tax, and I have to put the number of employees over there, I understand that I don't include these, right?
I don't think so. I can find out more information, but I don't think you would be including those in because they're technically on paper, not your employees.
Okay, okay, because that's what I was worrying that I'll pay you and then the Dutch
The
government will come for
come for
more.
you. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think that would happen because you're just
Okay,
outsourcing the services. You're paying someone else technically, and that someone else has a person that works. So it's not like the person works directly for you. So we take all that hassle outside of you, and we basically handle it on the countries and regions where we are actually located.
right, right, all right.
So the good thing is you can always start the recruitment process with us. It doesn't cost you. Technically, it only would cost you 140 euros to start it because it's only the job posting fee in the end that needs to be paid if you don't select anyone, which is, I think, worth it going through the whole recruitment process just to see what you can get, if you know what I mean. So I always suggest to most of the people, whenever they already have a budget in place, just like you mentioned, and they know approximately what they want, just why not go through the recruitment why not go through the recruitment process and test the candidates yourself, see how it is. Maybe Macedonia will bring you better, or maybe Philippines will get you much better. So based on that, you look at the candidates, you see the quality, you talk to them, you can give them assessments to test them out, and based on that you'll say like, hey Frank, you know what, I think I have a clearer picture now. I think I know what can we get and what can we expect. So I think we're gonna go ahead with two candidates because of this, or maybe one in the Philippines, one in Macedonia, or just one in Macedonia, and so on. So yeah, I would always recommend to start it off because there's nothing else to pay but the job posting fee. And sometimes, we can, depending on the regions and what we're looking for, we can help with that as well.
Okay, okay. This is perfect. And it is also possible to leave the entire recruitment to you and let's say just be left with top two, top three candidates instead of going through larger numbers. Is it also
Yeah,
possible?
y- yeah, of course. It's just it's very important the first meeting with our recruitment to set exactly what is a top candidate. So once they have all those check boxes and they work closely with you, then they're just going to reject what's not the top candidate and send you only the best ones through. And
Okay.
if there will be any sort of assessment that you want them to work on. So that would be another thing. Because the reason why I'm asking is typically that's what most of the engineering roles do, and the nautical one just went through, as I mentioned, some assessment form.
Right. And is the Dutch market open more and more for the remote outsourcing, you think? They go towards it? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like my friends, they're like resilient to go like to any other country.
The most, I mean, as I mentioned, the most right now that we're working with for Macedonia specifically, we're working with UK and Ireland. So those are the top two. I would say UK is definitely top one. But yeah, we do have a couple of Dutch clients, and I think we're slightly growing from that region. It seems like mainly the Northern Europe. I think that, Netherlands. Um, we don't have Belgian clients, but we do have from Belgian businesses. UK, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. I think the Northern Europe is more into outsourcing, specifically speaking about the Southeastern Europe for Macedonia. But overall, yeah, businesses and Europeans, I think, are getting the hand of it and opening up in terms of getting all over the world staff and outsourcing because, it's just how the European world works. We try to keep everything inside most of the time compared to
Mhm.
America, where they have outsourced most of their roles and jobs and everything and manufacturing and everything they do is outside. So yeah, I think that the mentality is growing to outsource people, but nearshoring, which we call it for Macedonia, I think this is more of a European mindset, and that's why it's working perfectly fine because we're one flight away from Eindhoven, we're one flight away from London Luton, we're one flight away from every single place. So once, let's say now maybe you have this budget of 4,000 euros or 3,000 euros and you have one person in Macedonia, but hopefully everything, because we want to support your business and grow your business, maybe down the line, 6 months, 1 year, or whatever, you might have two people and then three people. And then what you do is you build a team. And in order for you to come and visit this team, it will cost you 50 euro ticket with Wizz Air to come here rather than go to the Philippines, which would cost you thousands and thousands of euros to go back and forth. So it's just, it works out perfectly fine. And that's why a lot of people are interested in Macedonia. And because of the culture, the level of English, multi-language speaking, knowledge is there. Typically, the schools or somebody has already studied in EU or somewhere close and so on. So it's just working very, very well, I would say so.
Okay, and let me ask you a tricky question because I was
Yeah.
kind of thinking of it. Aren't you afraid, let's say that the company approaches you, they take three of your pros, and then they set up on the site with them, make agreement, and they're not paying you the fees. Is it a danger for you or?
Depends. So if you're talking about after those three people have been hired, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so after those people have been hired, they do have very strict contracts when it comes to those kind of things. But also from the client's end, there's also on the agreement itself, which states that you won't be poaching any of our people. Or if you would like a person to work with you directly through another version, then there is called a break fee. So you can break that person from Emapta and take it to your own company.
Oh,
So it's kind of a legal also thing. It's just that there will be a different type of payout for that.
okay, okay. So this is possible. And if this, how is the data protection working? Let's say this person is working for my company. I give them the access for my virtual machine login. He'll be using data on his local machine. How is it ensured that, first of all, GDPR is followed? We have very strict rules in the Netherlands. The penalties are extremely high. How can we ensure that there is no leaks?
Great question. So one of the things that we as Emapta are, I would say, freaks about is definitely the data protection rules. And that's why we issue our own laptops to every single client staff. And before we issue that laptop, we sent you an IT checklist. And based on that IT checklist, you will let us know exactly what this person will need to work on. And then everything else is completely blocked. So websites based on categories, there's no local admin rights in terms of that downloading softwares or, doing those kind of stuff they would require to go through our IT. All USB ports, if there's any sort of like a USB storage or external hard drive, those are completely blocked. They wouldn't work if you put those inside. So it would only work for a mouse, headset, or something like that. So yeah, basically everything is kind of, I would say, locked, and it would be based on the client, whatever they tell us. In this case, you'd be like, okay, Frank, I need this person to work on this, and those are the only things that he can access on his laptop
Okay,
for the
okay,
work laptop. Yeah.
okay. And coming back to the Filipino, because I have still two questions about them. What is the English proficiency over there? Let's say we decide for, because that was the initial idea that we can go with one Filipino and one Macedonian just to start to test both. What is the English proficiency over there, and where is the like the knowledge base? Are the Filipinos up to date with all the technologies? Is Filipino bachelor graduate of, let's say, cybersecurity as knowledgeable as his European counterpart, etc.? How is this level?
Great. I mean, that's a really great question. I don't know exactly how that would look like head to head if you compare them. But I know that a lot of Filipinos, due to the fact that Philippines has been forever an outsourcing hub, So sometimes the opportunities there are maybe more or bigger than Macedonia, I would say, due to the fact that it's just, been there forever. Companies outsourcing, so they might have, let's say, sometimes slightly even more experience in terms of the experience. It's just the communication style or the approach is just a bit more that you need to navigate them, if you know what I mean. Like you would need to tell them, okay, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. Well, with Europeans, it's just like we try to take care of that part ourselves. But the level of English, it depends. There's millions of Filipinos, but it depends. Some of them are really, really good. And I would say to my level, or like they sound very American or very British, depending on what kind of companies and what background they have. Some of them do speak less quality, let's say English, but it would really depend because it's such a big market, you can tell. But overall, they're pretty decent compared to, let's say, India and other locations. Filipinos are much better in terms of English.
Okay, okay. Alrighty, I think I ran out of the questions. I'm very satisfied till now. I'm kind of waiting to see it all. Are you gonna send me this PDF or?
Yes, I will send you this PDF via the email.
Okay, perfect.
So
Okay,
you guys
what
can look it
about
through, the rates and everything else that's included in it. And then if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me via email, and then I would be more than happy to help and proceed with this however you feel like it's best for you. But as I mentioned, keep that in mind and speak it with your partner that we can always kick it off for you guys to test out the talent, see what kind of people, and then if you like someone, you can just select them and we start it. If not, then we just part ways as friends, basically.
Okay, okay, I see. That's very fair. Yeah, we'll certainly start, and please walk me through the recruitment timelines. Diana said somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks that you don't have pre-vetted batch that we could use. It
Yeah,
is always 4 to 6 weeks, right?
so typically the whole process, I would say it's 4 to 8 weeks. For that being said, is the moment we have a project kickoff call and we know we're recruiting, recruitment asks all the necessary questions. They come up with their own documents and files and everything they need to know. And then from that moment onwards, it's like, let's say the first few weeks or 4 weeks, we will be going through all the candidates and passing them over to you. And plus from that moment, typically this is done within the first month, but then there's a notice period. So if someone is working for another company, they're going to need another 30 days or 4 weeks to leave that company, but not necessarily always, right? Because sometimes we find someone in a transition, or we find someone coming from um, contractor job, which means that they can leave it at any given time, or they're not job at all, they're looking for a job and so on. So but I would say up to 4 weeks typically to get the right candidate, and then from that point onward would be the notice period, the onboarding from our side, and everything else. So it could be
Mhm.
4 to 8 weeks.
Okay, and how is the process kick-started? We have the interview with your recruitment team, I understand.
Yeah, so we have first the project kickoff call. That's what we call it. We walk you through the whole process of how it's going to work. They ask all the necessary questions they have about the role in and out, so they know the role and what you're looking for, and that's how they're going to, check all the boxes and make sure which one passes and which one doesn't. The first round of recruitment. And through email, they're going to present every single candidate with their expected salary, with their knowledge, with the background of what they had on the first call and everything else. So it's detailed and very structured. And they will be working with you to set those interviews. So they're going to ask you, okay, so on Monday, we sent you 3 people. What are the best days for you next week? Give us a few slots, and then they will arrange everything for you. So you basically don't have to do anything. It's just like take those interviews whenever they come to you and just read the descriptions and everything else. So it's a very passive, I would say, approach from the clients, which is very nice because we handle all the dirty work and everything that needs to be done in the background. You guys just have to pick and select. You don't have to do anything extra. The only thing is just, writing a small feedback after every interview to know for us as well, maybe we have lost something during our project kickoff call that might be good to know that, hey, this is the reason why this person is not fit. So if we get another person in the first round because of the same reason, then we reject them automatically, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Perfect, Frank. I'm very happy with this call so far. I
Glad to
think
hear
I,
that.
like I said, I ran out of the questions, so I'll be hungry to read the entire proposal once you send it. And yeah, shall we set up a callback, or let me talk to my partner first, and then I'll. Should I contact directly you or Diana at this point?
However you'd like, you can contact me directly. If you can write down, or I'll just send this, I'll send an email to you with the dedicated staffing proposal for cloud engineers that I just shared, and then we can keep
Mhm.
the conversation going over there. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect, perfect. That sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. And I guess I'll speak to you soon. And if you or your partner have anything, you can either reply to that email or we can jump on another call to answer more questions if needed.
Surely. Thank you so much, Frank. It
No
was a pleasure.
problem. No problem, Bart. Have a good one. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.